On this episode, we're going to review what took place on day 3 of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of the Super Juniors 28. We also got NXT UK with some interesting matches that took place, and of course, Impact Wrestling are preparing for the next 2 days for their upcoming pay per view, Turning Point, and also, once again, the saga continues with WWE with more releases, and some of the names are very interesting, and we're going to do a little discussion of what's been going on ever since these announcements took place. And of course, news updates regarding former WWE superstar Buddy Murphy, now known as Buddy Matthews. So, let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with day 3 for New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of the Super Juniors 28. Now, I couldn't see it right away with on the NJPW on demand. Did manage to see it, but however, I did not witness the Young Lions match. It was Kosei Fujita taking on Yuto Nakashima, and it ended in a time limit draw, which, I'm not making it a big deal. Now, the matches we have, the first one for the Best of the Super Juniors, we have El Phantasmo taking on Doiki. Now, this was a very interesting match. Now, Doiki has shown a lot of strength in his matches in the past. Now, do I think he's one of those guys that could win it? I don't know. But El Fantasmo has a different case. He is one of the most talented wrestlers, but also we know that he is dying for an opportunity to become IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He has been Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion before with Ishimori, but we'll see how that goes. But however, it was his victory that he picked up against Doiki, allowing himself to finally have 2 points in his wake. Next match, we got Bushi versus Yo. Now, these two are no strangers to each other. They have faced off against each other in the past, but the real question is, can Yo get himself out of this funk? We know his mind is trying to get revenge on Sho for betraying him, but he has this that to take place. So, basically, Bushi put him out completely and allowing himself to pick up another 2 points. So Sho right now currently has 0 points. Next up, we got Taiji Shimuri and Robbie Eagles. Now, these two guys are no strangers to each other. Robbie Eagles used to be a member of Bullet Club, and during their first time in the Super Junior Tag League with both these men, Ishimori and Robbie Eagles, were part of Bullet Club as a tag team, but they never actually got to that point to obtain gold. Not until Robbie Eagles defected and joined Chaos. But the match was pretty good. But however, once again, this time, Taiji Shimuri has proven how he is one of the best junior heavyweight contenders in New Japan, allowing himself to pick up another good victory against Robbie Eagles. Next up, we got Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Hiromu Takahashi. Also, a couple of guys who are no strangers to each other. They have faced off before in singles competition and, of course, tag team competition. But however, in this particular match, it was uh, Hiromu who picked up a very good victory to allow himself to win this particular match. And I'm very happy how this turned out. Now, he is one of those few guys I am paying attention that could win the match right now. But also, we have the next match. We have Sho versus Ryusuke Taguchi. Now, in the back of my mind, I had a feeling that somehow House of Torture was going to show up. But however, I think Show anticipated that particular move that Tai Chi would do whatever it takes to prepare against these guys. He fooled them. He got away with it by using a monkey wrench, and blammo, it kind of went down that way, allowing himself to pick up another good victory. Now, Show could be one of the potential wrestlers to find a way to get through. We know he has been competed for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title in the past, but had no luck. But could this be the year he get it, or we have to wait a little longer for that? Now, our main event, we have Master Wato taking on the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Desperado. The match was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I think it showed Wato is hungry to get to the top to become IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. But however, IWGP Champion's not going to allow anybody to win until he somehow has a good record where he's the one who decides he picks his opponent. So, but that's how it is. Now let's look at the point system so far that these guys have. Taguchi has 2 points, Master Wato 2. Well, hold on, let me start over with this. Ryusuke Taguchi has 2 points with 1 win and 2 losses. Master Wato, 1 win, 2 losses with 2 points. Robbie Eagles, 2 losses and 1 win with 2 points. Yo, so far 0 with 3 losses. Hiromu with 2 wins and 1 loss with 4 points. Bushi, 2 wins and 1 loss with 4 points. El Desperado, one um 1 win and 2 losses with 2 points. Um, Kanemaru has 2 wins and 1 loss with 4 points. Doiki has 2 wins and 1 loss with 4 points. Taiji Shimuri 2 wins and 1 loss with 4 points. El Fantasmo 1 win and 2 losses. And however, this is what I know. Sho has 6 points, so that means he is currently in the lead. Now, anything could happen between now all the way to the end. Now, Sho could have a perfect record to win it all, but like I said before, anything could happen from here all the way to the finals. So we'll see what happened in the next Best of the Super Juniors. But however, we still continuing on more with New Japan Pro Wrestling's World Tag League. But right now, let's move on with NXT UK. Alrighty then. So NXT UK started up with A-Kid versus Sam Gradwell. Now this particular thing began about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where Sam Gradwell feels that A-Kid is hogging all the action in his native country of Spain, claiming that he's been a better sensation than him in Spain, disrespecting the country. And a week later, A-Kid told him that he'll fight him, knowing the fact that he disrespected Spain. But however, I think this match showed a lot of character with A-Kid, who is the sensation, no matter what Sam Gradwell was trying to do. I think we're looking at, okay, here's a guy who's saying that everything he said is true. He did put up a good fight, but however, he was no match for the Spanish sensation A-Kid, and I think he's very impressive. Even though Sam Gradwell, I will not take anything from Sam Gradwell, but it was an awesome match. Now, Dragunov, on the other hand, we have known, as you know, his late next opponent is Rampage Brown, who's after for the NXT UK Championship. He says that he embraces the fear, but also embraces, the match. Basically, there's no secret he has faced bigger opponents in his past. One of them was, of course, his predecessor and the previous champion, Walter. And this will be no different. However, I hope Dragunov is mentally prepared for the challenge for this one. Next up, we have is Aaliyah James taking on Nina Samuels. Now, Nina believes that her defeat towards Xia Brookside was a fluke. Now, Nina always believes that she is the star of the show, but this time, this was another upset by Aaliyah, proving that what happened with Xia Brookside was no joke. Even if she says it out loud, it's not going to make a difference. And she was very impressive. I say we let's keep an eye on her, see how far she can go. Now, speaking of what happened with Sam Gradwell, he was not happy that he lost, but once again he decides to get in the face of another individual, but this time is the Supernova, Noam Dar, and his best friend Shaw Samuels. Now, I hate to be the guy who wants to challenge them, but we'll see how that goes. Now, speaking of Aaliyah decided to go to her dressing room to embrace the fact that she won. Once again, the White Witch showed up, Aladon with another momentum to take. So basically, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaliyah decides to challenge her for what she caused. Now, our next match we have is Saxon Huxley taking on the Cockroach, Kenny Williams. Now, Saxon Huxley, we all know he's capable. He has few wins in his past, but however, this was another caliber the change. But however, you know how Kenny likes to find ways to ensure he wins. When he does this, he that by using the advantage outside the ring, allowing himself to win. So that's the kind of man Kenny Williams is. He uses whatever he can find to win. Now, Mark Andrews was out. As you know, he was last week faced against Nathan Frazier. It was a pretty good match. So he kind of praises Nathan for the efforts. But however, the Irish Ace decided to rain on his parade and tell him to stop lying to yourself. So basically, we're going to see that match next week between both Mark Andrews and Jordan Devlin. Now, our main event, we have Gallus, consistent of Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, taking on Tailman and Rohan Raja. Now, the reason this match was set is because Tailman doesn't believe that Gallus are a family. You know, Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey are part of the same faction, but Tailman doesn't think that blood means anything. However, his biggest concern is Joe Coffey outside the ring. The match was going great until out of nowhere, Charlie Dempsey shows up and attacks Joe Coffey. As soon as the match was over, when Wolfgang was by himself, had no one that would back him up, he had no other choice but to quit. He kind of was pinned out, but however, Dempsey continues to show his dominance. But could this be the obvious question? Is Charlie Dempsey now the newest family member in Tillman's circle? I don't know, but it's getting kind of curious. But the reason this happened is Charlie Dempsey had dealings with Gallus. Every time he does an interview, he feels like they disrespect him. But this time, he looked like he found people that would agree with him and would do anything to eliminate Gallus. So, right now, let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Okay, so Impact Wrestling are preparing for their next pay per view that's taking place 2 days from then. The opening match is Steve Macklin taking on Laredo Kid. Now, this was a very special stipulation match. If Steve Macklin beats Laredo Kid, then he is in to turn the X Division match that was supposed to be between Trey Miguel and Laredo Kid into a triple threat. So basically, because Macklin has said that Trey Miguel never beat him. However, if Laredo Kid won, he's out. He will not be involved. Just go home. But however, this was a very impressive match. I did not expect Macklin to do a sick ass tope suicida, but it did. But it showed how much he feels that he deserves to be in that match to prove a point to Trey Miguel that he never beat him. And that's exactly what he did when he pulled like a driver type finisher on Laredo Kid, and that inserts him now in Turning Point for a triple threat match for the X Division title. Now, earlier in Beyond the Impact, Sam Beal was in a match against his former mentor Brian Myers. Myers decided to punish Beal. He didn't care about winning or losing. All he cared about is punishing him. He tried to end him, but luckily Rich Swann and Willie Mack showed up to give a helping hand. However, things could be worse for Sam Beal, but Rich Swann called him out, saying that you're supposed to be a leader, someone who's supposed to teach things to your students. So basically, he wants to teach Myers a lesson. Now, Trey Miguel, as we all know, he has his work kind of cut out, or is he mentally prepared to deal with a guy like Steve Macklin, who Macklin claims he never pinned him? So basically, I don't think it matters to Trey, but he is like, he looks so 100% focused on what he knows what's at task. Now, the next interview we have is Ace Austin, who clearly has no motive to challenge Chris Sabin once again. Sabin did wants to challenge him, knowing that he doesn't believe that he has what it takes to beat him as long as Madman Fulton is by his corner, which angered, of course, um, what's his name? It did anger um, Ace and turned into a 2-on-1 brawl, but of course, Fulton ended up locked himself in a refrigerator, and of course, Sabin took matters of laughter of that. Now, our next match we have is a pair of women knockouts tag team action. We have the Undead Bridesmaids, Kimberly and Brandy Lauren, taking on the Inspiration, Cassie and Jesse. It was a very interesting match. As you know, the Undead Bridesmaids failed to eliminate Decay, but however, somehow the Inspiration were able to retain, even though this was a non title match. They've proven that they are meant to be there. However, in the post match, Decay, all of them showed up to put a little scare into both Jesse and Cassie. But however, can they overcome their who they beat the last time in Turning Point? We just gotta wait and see on that. Now, the next interview we saw, and it also been showed, that Chelsea Green is now the number one contender to challenge for the Impact Digital Media Championship that currently has it's in the possession of Jordan Grace. She believes that title is well deserved to be held by her. And as for her fiance, Matt Cardona, he knows that he did not come out of the triple threat match for the number one alive. But however, once again, WMRC decided to start things up, and now they're set to face off each other at Turning Point. The next interview we had Eddie Edwards, as we know he is the number one contender to challenge Moose. However, Moose decided that he's going to take matters in his own hands and take out Eddie Edwards once and for all. He does not want to challenge him, and of course, it backfired on him. However, Eddie tried to take him out completely, but it did not work. However, Scott D'Amore was not a very happy camper. Basically, he feels that he couldn't wait. So he decided to turn the match at Turning Point between those two into a full metal mayhem, which I don't know if it means all the toys it can bring. Now, as we know for Turning Point, Mercedes Martinez is the current number one contender to challenge for the Knockouts title, and she made it perfectly clear that she is the original badass. So that never changes. Now, speaking of the Knockouts Championship, the former Knockouts champion, no one's heard from her since. She refused to say when she's coming back. She refused to tell the Impact faithful what's going on. So I don't know what's her deal, what she's planning, but hopefully we'll see what happens then. Next match we got is Hakuleo of the Bullet Club, along with El Fantasmo and Chris Bay, taking on the big LG Doc Gallows, along with Carl Anderson. It's a pretty impressive match, Giant versus Giant. Now, anything could happen when it comes to Bullet Club. However, things did not go exactly according to plan for Hakuleo due to Carl Anderson dismantling the other members, but at the same time allowing for Doc Gallows to pick up an amazing pinfall on Hakuleo. Now, FinJuice is not a happy group. They're not too thrilled that they are not involved in the tag team match. However, the more kind of got into their heads, he's like, you guys got to work to your top, get yourselves back on that, which they did. So their opponents for the at Turning Point is going to be Decay, Crazy Steve, and Black Taurus. Now, in recent weeks, we have seen how Rhino has changed. It appears that Eric Young is not a very fond of the freedoms that he's having, so he believes that sooner or later he's gonna have to abandon it. But we'll see where they're gonna go, and the story is becoming great. Now, our next match we have is a six-man tag team match. We have Fallah Ball, Hernandez, and Johnny Swinger taking on Decay, Crazy Steve, and Black Taurus, along with the Demon. I thought it was a good, fun match. However, it was the Demon that picked up the submission on on Swinger to allow him to win. But however, he seems like he was unhappy. The K members, Rosemary and Havoc, showed up, but they seems like they have a proposal for Bravo. We don't know what it is. Now, Jordan Grace is acknowledging her opponent for the digital media title. And of course, Rachel Ellerin kind of made some clear points that Jordan has been first ever in everything. And it's true, she has. So basically, Jordan is now a Triple Crown winner because she's won the Knockouts, the Knockouts tag team, and of course now the digital media. So I'm excited for that. Now, our main then Mickey James had some interesting words to say about Mercedes after her betray about her being your friend, but now I see maybe there's no friends in this business, that sort of thing. So, but however, she did say that she's going to show her what hardcore country is all about, and I'm very excited for that match. Now, our main event is, of course, the King Minoru Suzuki taking on the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander. Man, that match was amazing. Great forearm hits, slap in the chest. I love it. I have to say, this match was meant for Josh Alexander, and it was Alexander to put him out once and for all, making a big upset. But the real question remains: when will we see him challenging for the Impact World title? Well, it's only a matter of time, but right now we have to pay attention to what's going to take place between Moose and Eddie Edwards. However, in the post show, we saw members from the K showing up, along with Swinger and Bravo, along with other members, the Swingerlettes and Hernandez, Fallah Ball, and Alicia. It appears Wrestle House 2 is going to happen without Tommy Dreamer involved. I'm kind of curious how this one is going to go. I mean, I will always love the first one, but second one, bring it on. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with this one. So let's move on right now. So the topic that I think many people want to know about is the latest releases coming from WWE. Okay, this was reported by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. It was revealed that 8 wrestlers has now been released from the company, and this is something that we thought it was going to be over, but no, it did not. Here are the wrestlers that were released from WWE today. We have John Morrison, Tegan Knox, Shane Thorne, Jackson Riker, um, Drake Maverick, Isaiah Sir Scott, Top Dollar, and Ashante D. Adonis. Now, let's talk about these people one at a time. John Morrison, well, we were expecting him to have a feud with The Miz. So it was like, what the F? It's like they wasted him for nothing. And recently, right now, during Twitter, his wife, Frankie Mornett, better known as Tail Valkyrie, went on social media and berated the company. I'm like, wow. But however, we know he has a good reputation. We know he can get bookings anywhere he wants. But do we think he could be signing with AEW? I don't know. But we'll see what happens there. Tegan Knox. I have to say, I like Tegan. She's amazing. But I have to question about her last appearance in NXT. I'm like, What the F? You brought her back, and all of a sudden, you moved her up to the main roster? It made no sense to me. And we haven't seen her for quite some time. But, however, I can picture her being one of those international sensations that could make a big deal in AEW because many fans love her. I see people say they followed her for years, all the way from Japan. I don't know, but she is definitely one of those I definitely could look at. Shane Thorpe, not much about this guy. Haven't seen him for quite some time. Turns out he was Slapjack in Retribution, but I don't know. But we'll see. Jackson Riker, well, as you know, recently he has been a bit of a controversial guy due to patriotism and all this other stuff. Those are saying that he might end up with NWA, and it's like, that's like very torture. I don't know if AEW or Impact Wrestling have any interest in him, but we'll see where that leads up. Drake Maverick. Now, this is the second time in 2 years he's been fired. Last year, it was so crazy. He was emotional. He was crying. I just can't believe this happened again. But the video that he put out was so inspiring. He's like saying, you cannot get fired in wrestling. I'm like, it's true. You find work as a wrestler wherever you go. And I think it's totally inspiring. And many people are praising him for that. He's not going to give up on his dream as a wrestler. Now, do I think he could be a valuable asset for AEW or go back to Impact Wrestling? I don't know. I know he has a strong relationship with Matt Hardy since they were in Impact. I would say he could fit in with that. He is one of the few I can think other than Tegan Knox. Now, the next one, this is a very unusual. All members of Hit Row were released. Isaiah, Top Dollar, Ashante. But a few weeks ago, it was BFAB. Now this, they're saying that they could survive without her. I'm like, what is wrong with this picture? But, however, those are now saying they would love to see Hit Row together as a unit. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but for me, I feel there is a possibility Swerve could go anywhere. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know what you guys would think, but I have to say this is really, really insane that more releases. I didn't think this is going to happen, but right now, as fans, I'm going to say this right now. I don't hate WWE, just for the record. I don't hate them. I just don't like the decisions they're making when it comes to booking the wrestlers. And wrestlers who we thought we could see bigger stars, but no. This is why I lost interest in them. Mostly when I watch Raw or SmackDown. I mostly watch NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live. But right now, there's a lot of questions. There's two things that's been talked about since their releases. These recent releases that have been going on. There's been reports. Those are saying that we could see Jeff Jarrett open up another promotion. I mean, it's not the first time. The last one he had, Global Force Wrestling, was a disaster. But I don't know. If he does it, then we know there'll be wrestlers that could get a good job. But however, there are those who believe that Triple H could be the next one to leave. Because he's the one who specifically brought some of these wrestlers in. John Morrison doesn't count. But it could fit in. We could see him that he's on his way out for a promotion. I don't know. He is the guy with the good vision. Despite the fact that they made him the scapegoat for the loss of the ones in that war. But we don't know what's going to happen. But like I said, there are some wrestlers I can see picture going to AEW. But right now, we'll just got to wait and see what's going to take place and give our full support to these guys right now. So let's see what happens then. But let's move on with a little bit of the news updates. Okay, I only got one news update for all of you. As you know, recently, Buddy Matthews, formerly known as Buddy Murphy, has been making headways in the independents. He showed up at Warrior Wrestling not too long ago for the Sweet 16 event. Then we saw him face Kaguchika Okada and battle in the Valley. Now it's been reported on that he's going to make his House of Glory debut on December 12th, and I'm very excited because this is going to be great to see him involved. But there is still no yet who's going to be his opponent. I'm kind of curious to see who will be his opponent. But for now, we'll just stick to this and think we got everything covered for then. So that's it. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Now, before I revealed what is the next review coming up, as you know, I've been reviewing DDT Pro Wrestling for since I first started here doing this thing. For those who don't know, DDT Pro Wrestling is run by Cyberfight. Cyberfight owns not only DDT but Pro Wrestling Noah, but other sister companies that DDT has, like Tokyo Yoshi Pro and of course Ganbare Pro. Now, Ganbare Pro is a promotion that does some smaller shows with intergender wrestlers that we may have seen from other promotions in the past. But recently, if you guys know this already, I watch many of their shows on the Watch Pro Wrestling Live. Well, let me repeat that again. Watch Pro Wrestling Live. Somehow they decided to separate the Ganbare shows away from the DDT. They normally have DDT Ganbare on it. So I may separate the Ganbare shows on itself, have its own logos, but I will type down the you guys don't recognize the logo. I'm gonna put the name that way you guys get a clearer view what the show is. I've seen many of the Ganbare shows. They're really fun. It's gonna be on its own separate. Don't know when that will start, but I will start doing those as soon as possible for all of you. So, but coming up for the next episode, we have more on New Japan Pro Wrestling for World Tag League Day 3. We got AEW Rampage, 205 Live, and of course a past event from All Japan Pro Wrestling from uh, October 9th for the Raising an Army Memorial Series Day 2. There's no Day 1 on Watch Pro Wrestling, but I'm kind of excited to do this for all of you because I love watching wrestling. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day.